Good evening. Thanks for spending part of your weekend with us here on Spectrum News 1. I'm Siobhan Riley. Hope you're enjoying time with your family this 4th of July weekend. Let's go ahead and get straight to your top stories that we're following this hour. They say the 21-year-old gunman fired more than 70 rounds before trying to blend in with the crowd disguised as a woman. As we mentioned, the World Health Organization declared monkeypox a public health emergency. As of Friday, the CDC is showing over 19,000 cases worldwide. The family of Andrew Brown Jr. will get $3 million after reaching a settlement with the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office. Welcome back to Spectrum News 1. It's time for weather on the ones with Lee Ringer. It started off a great morning, but I know this must be too good to be true.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference for those kids and their families who can't afford the basic school supplies. Right now, Classroom Central is stocking up the warehouse and free teacher store for donations to start August 2nd.
Thanks for joining us on Spectrum News 1. I'm Rob Wu.
And I'm Siobhan Riley. We're tracking a developing situation in Wayne County after 3 deputies were shot earlier today.
The suspect still barricaded inside the home about 6.5 hours later. We'll get a live update from our crew on the scene in just a minute.
But right now, we're getting an update as we track storms in our area this evening. Chief Meteorologist Gary Stevenson, he joins us live in the Weather Center. Gary, it seems like every day we're talking storms.
Yeah, it's basically an easy forecast for me and the weather team because...
All right, thanks, Gary. We'll see you soon. Now to a story we've been following all day out of Dudley, a community just south of Goldsboro. 3
deputies have been shot, and the person authorities say shot them is still barricaded inside a home on Arrington Bridge Road hours later. Spectrum News 1 reporter Norlane Kawaja joins us live from the scene.
So, Norlane, you've been there all afternoon. What can you tell us at this point?
Thank you, Norlane, for keeping us updated on this story. We'll continue to check in with you. For updates on this story, make sure you download the Spectrum News app. It's available wherever you get your app.
I'm live in Fuquay Arena. Evan Siri, Spectrum News 1.
Thank you, Evan. That is so sad for that family. About 2.5 hours away in Creswell, located in Washington County, Highway Patrol and emergency crews responded to a plane crash on the highway this morning. Authorities tell us the pilot is safe after having engine trouble on his way to Charlotte. The pilot intended to land at a nearby airport, but was unable to after a landing gear issue. So he landed on US 64 instead. Emergency management says the pilot was not hurt and the plane only had minor damage. The pilot refused EMS treatment and the plane was pulled away from the roadway to a nearby open field. Coming up next, we're checking back in with the Weather Center for a look at what you can expect over the next few days.
And a local landmark is for sale.
It would have been cheaper just to bulldoze it and start over, but that would not be right.
Raleigh's historic Rialto Theater is on the market. You got a couple millions, Siobhan, maybe?
I wish I did. Why, the owner is selling it and the hopes that he has for its future.
Evening. I'm Rob Wood.
And I'm Siobhan Riley. It's a rare July election day across our state.
Yes, the municipal elections happening today will impact entire cities.
Thank you, Noel, for keeping us updated. Reminder, polls close at 7:30.
Yeah, and if you're in line by 7:30 but haven't voted yet because things are moving slowly, don't leave. You can cast that ballot as long as you get in line by 7:30.
Stay tuned for Spectrum News 1 for your local election coverage. We'll have live updates after polls close tonight starting at 8 o'clock. President Joe Biden is back to his regular exercise routine as his COVID-19 symptoms almost are completely cleared up. That's according to an update from his personal physician Tuesday. Dr. Kevin O'Connor also says President Biden completed his course of Paxlovid. The president is finishing up the CDC required 5-day isolation period, but won't restart in-person events until he tests negative.
Well, North Carolina is setting the example for infrastructure across the nation.
Wilmington is hosting a conference on energy and infrastructure resilience this week. It brings together staff of state governors from across the country to learn about North Carolina's work to make more robust infrastructure that can stand up to storms.
Governor Roy Cooper spoke today about how our state collaborated with different agencies. Still to come, pushing for stricter safety measures on Camorris.
Even after the EPA cracks down on health standards, some say more needs to be done to protect North Carolinians from forever chemicals in our water. Plus,
what was done to many of these children is abhorrent.
For decades, Native American children in the United States attended Indian boarding schools. Some of them never returned home.
Later this hour, in part 2 of our special report, how the effects of the schools linger decades later. Thanks for joining us on Spectrum News 1. I'm Rob Wu.
And I'm Siobhan Riley. A 7th person has died following the 4th of July parade shooting in Highland Park near Chicago.
And more than 30 others are left injured after investigators say a 21-year-old gunman opened fire.
Police say they recovered a second firearm from his car and that he bought the guns legally within the Chicago area.
Today is a day of grieving together, a day to pause, a day to remember those who left us.
Police have not determined a motive yet.
Lawmakers and advocates from across the state work hard to get their legislation included in the state budget.
And in the last 2 budgets the state legislature passed, the hard work of high schoolers really paid off.
Our Spectrum News 1 political reporter Mary Helen Jones joins us now in studio to explain. Raleigh City Council unanimously approves a measure to allow people to sip and stroll through downtown Raleigh, taking alcohol to go from bars and restaurants.
Spectrum News 1's reporter Rachel Boyd is live on Fayetteville Street tonight to see how this could impact local restaurants. But Rachel, I'm sure this is a topic people are going to be talking about for quite some time. When the social district goes into effect, city leaders will observe and reevaluate the measure after the first 6 months.
I love these coastal critters so much and everything under the water.
These nature lovers are ready to share some coastal wildlife with the public.
We'll show you how they catch and release these critters to give people a hands-on experience.
Thanks for joining us this half hour on Spectrum News 1. I'm Siobhan Riley.
And I'm Rob Wu. Highland Park police still trying to figure out a motive after 7 people were killed and more than 24 others were hurt during a 4th of July parade near Chicago.
They say the 21-year-old gunman fired more than 70 rounds before trying to blend in with the crowd disguised as a woman. Thanks, Andrew. This is a story we'll continue to follow. You can stay updated on the latest here. Just go to the Spectrum News app. It's available to download wherever you get your apps. The state legislature is hoping incentives included in the budget it passed last week could bring thousands of additional new jobs to the Greensboro-Randolph mega site.
You may remember back in December, Toyota announced it would build its first battery plant for electric vehicles at the facility. That investment will create nearly 2,000 new jobs.
And the latest budget includes $225 million if a company adds an additional 3,000 new jobs in the area by the end of 2034. Most speculation is that this could be good for a second phase in the Toyota plant. Thanks, Sarah. The budget is currently on the governor's desk.
Coming up.
And it's kind of like a dream come true because I've always been a huge Willie Nelson fan.
A taste of success. An Asheville musician is getting national recognition.
And it's thanks to a name you'd probably recognize, Willie Nelson. This story is next on Spectrum News 1. Good morning. Thank you for watching Spectrum News 1. I'm Siobhan Riley.
And I'm Sarah Rudlang. It will be giving out doses of the vaccine to combat the spread.
North Carolina's Department of Health and Human Services says there are currently over 50 confirmed monkeypox cases in the state. And even though any one person can get monkeypox, health experts say right now people in the LGBTQ community are at an even higher risk for contracting the disease. Our Norlane Kawaja spoke with a health expert focusing on the LGBTQ community about immunization efforts. As we mentioned, the World Health Organization declared monkeypox a public health emergency. As of Friday, the CDC is showing over 19,000 cases worldwide. There are around 5,000 cases in the U.S., and we're keeping close tabs on the spread here in the Tar Heel State. Right now, we sit at just over 50 cases as of July. My co-anchor Sarah is going in depth on this topic for us today. Welcome back to Spectrum News 1. It's time for weather on the ones. I went out last night to get a bite to eat. It started raining, cats and dogs. I needed an umbrella, didn't have it. Just not a good combination.
No, and it woke me up because I was in bed at that time.
Yes.
From 1994 to 2004, but was never renewed.
The bill comes as all the victims injured in May's deadly shooting in Uvalde, Texas, are now out of the hospital. University Health posted on Twitter that the final patient from the shooting was released Friday. They shared video of 10-year-old Maya Zamora walking down a hospital hallway and handing out roses to the nurses and other staff. Zamora was in the hospital for 67 days after she was injured by a gunman who opened fire inside Robb Elementary School. 19 children and 2 teachers were killed. The Uvalde mass shooting was America's deadliest shooting, that's the school shooting, since 2012.
This year, from snake bites to climbers in distress or dehydrated, people really just not prepared for the extreme heat and terrain.
And this heat is no joke. Spectrum News 1's reporter Rose Eckler spoke to one rescuer who says it's important for people to get ready for a hike a day in advance. Very inspiring. You can find information about the upcoming courses on their website. The group is also still looking for people who are willing to teach just like Michelle. A great way to help out if you have a skill set to share.
And some are hoping for the chance, at least, to meet their favorite actors.
Wouldn't that be nice? We caught up with actor Scott Patterson, best known for his role as Luke on Gilmore Girls, for more on what's in store.
This is going to be a crazy day. Tomorrow's even going to be crazier.
GalaxyCon does require a ticket. Those tickets are selling out pretty fast. They start at $30 for adults and $10 for kids.